Bonjour tout le monde dans ce nouvel épisode où on va faire des nouvelles fins. En réalité il reste 3 fins, j'en ai parlé de 2, mais il y en a une troisième que j'aimerais faire. Donc... on va faire celle-là. En fait il y a 2 fins de mort. Je vous explique. La première, il dit juste, oh, il est con, il s'est jeté dans sa mort, il est débile. Bon, ok. Mais en fait, il y en a une autre. Où en fait, il nous insulte littéralement. Il se moque vraiment de nous bien plus. Si jamais on se jette depuis l'élévateur. Genre depuis lui. Voilà, ça.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
C'est la même fin en fait. D'accord. Bon, ok. Du coup, on va faire la fin de la porte rouge.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
On l'avait pas fait tout à l'heure, on avait fait la porte bleue et pas la porte rouge. Achievement unlock, unachievable. Raté. Comment ça se fait que j'ai eu unachievable?
And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Voilà.
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Voilà.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
Tourne totalement rond.
And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Sympa.
If we just stay right here, right... No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. No! Oh, no, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You're literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it?
Oh damn.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Et donc là, normalement, il ne nous reste plus qu'une seule fin.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go.
Et apparemment il existe une autre fin si on reprend encore l'ascenseur. Non? D'accord, ils ont dû. C'est des mises à jour qui ont dû être faites et qui retirent ce truc là, ou alors c'est dans la version de luxe, je sais pas.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret.
L'épisode risque sûrement d'être court, hein, je pense.
Stanley thought. Did he have the strength?
Parce que je vais tester un dernier truc avec les boutons.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ce qui est marrant, c'est quoi? C'est qu'il y a des caméras qui pointent vers aucun bureau, mais qui sont censées soi-disant pointer vers un collègue.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley
Genre celle-là par exemple. Elle pointe vers quoi? C'est l'employé 312. L'employé 312, pas d'employé quoi. Ouais, genre. Ou 328, je sais plus. C'est très drôle, je trouve. Enfin, là c'est pas drôle, mais particulier.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof.
Ok,
The heart of
il me
the
faut le
operation.
1.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Être sur le Deluxe. Si ça change rien, s'il se passe rien, bah, je redémarrerai. Ok, il se passe rien. Ok. Peut-être même qu'on peut redémarrer le jeu. Parce que je crois qu'il y a un achievement pour le jeu. Ok. Pourtant je l'ai eu. Ouais, celui-là il existe. Ça c'est très drôle ça. Donc, ok. On relance pour voir si ça change quelque chose. Ok. Ok, donc là, oui, faut que j'aille tout de suite.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Si on peut avoir l'achievement speedrun, ça me ferait marrer.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
4, 8, 2, 5.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Allez. On va voir si on peut le finir très vite ou pas.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ok.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Allez.
The strength to find out. Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility.
Je vais voir s'il y a moyen de.
That couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control.
Et si on l'a pas, je vais essayer de voir si je peux faire.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy.
Oh, il y a encore d'autres fins, il y a encore d'autres trucs. On va voir, on va essayer de trouver tout ça.
Eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided.
Ok.
rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Je vois encore deux autres fins, on va essayer de faire ces deux autres fins.
It will be his, and that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze on his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Je pense pas qu'on l'ait eu. Oh bah, parfait. C'est celle-là que je voulais. Ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Voilà.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Whiteboard ending. C'est un easter egg.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered
On va conclure ça très vite.
the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
La fin la plus rapide normalement c'est la mort.
Employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Juste faire ça, ça,
Yes, truly a room worth
ça.
admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and
Donc ouais, il y en avait deux apparemment, une si on se jetait comme ça, une si on jetait de la plateforme. Mais du coup ils ont gardé que celle où il y a de la plateforme. Comme fin, ok. Ok, donc là on a ça.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
C'est... Non, c'est pas lui, c'est l'autre. Non, c'est bien celui-là. Il y a celle-là, attendez. D'accord. Je n'ai pas la bonne fin, j'ai l'impression. Je pense qu'il y a des variantes sur le bureau 434. Attendez, c'est nouveau ça? Ouais, c'était nouveau, oui, d'accord. Il y a des variantes, oh merde. Et il faut que j'ai la bonne variante pour faire la fin que je veux. Bon, du coup on va tenter une autre fin.
Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Les regarder. C'est laquelle? Ah, mais peut-être que je ne peux pas la faire du fait que je ne sois pas sur la bonne map. Merde.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, fait chier. On va faire la pod.
Okay, I think we all...
D'ailleurs, attends, on peut aller derrière? Ah oui. Mais est-ce que du coup là, on peut faire ce que je pense? Il y a un truc auquel je pense. Est-ce que là ça nous a remis la map normale ou pas? Oh merde. Pourquoi il m'a fermé la porte? On recommence à nouveau, c'est pas grave.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his code.
Non, j'ai raté. Allez. Allez. Allez.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Donc là en fait, si on dit oui, il nous chante une chanson. Si on dit non, il nous dit ce qui serait passé si on...
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you
Voilà.
could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly.
Oh damn.
What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Mais c'est qui joue bien. Bon allez. On va recommencer. Donc là on a... c'est la whiteboard ending en fait. Retour au menu, quitter. J'aimerais faire un petit truc. C'est que normalement... Je veux voir un truc. D'ailleurs, hop, on va faire plus simple, on va faire ça, comme ça, hop. Ah, voilà, ok. Ok, donc on va dans... tac, 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 tac. Paramètres. Hop. De Stanley Parable. Argument ligne de commande additionnelle. Ok. Donc on relance de Stanley Parable. Ok. Donc, ici. Ah bah on vient d'avoir l'achievement Welcome Back. Nice. Donc, il faut faire sv underscore sheets 1.
Stanley, this is me being serious. In fact, this is my serious room. It's where I come to be serious. That table is the most serious table I could find. I looked at many, many tables, hundreds of tables. It's possible I looked at over 1,000 tables. I honestly don't know. The specific number isn't as important as the understanding that of all tables I looked at, this one is the most serious. I relate this story to impress upon you the extent to which this is the most serious room I have, which is why I brought you here. You just tried to activate server cheats, which of course runs the risk of breaking the entire game. You've got no respect for the strict order of scripted narrative events, and I just can't have that. It's time to get serious, Stanley. No jokes, no games. Outside of this room, I might be more tolerant of those things, but now we're in the room. Which is why I'm subjecting you to the most serious punishment I can think of. 100 billion trillion years standing here in the serious room. Perhaps after that, we can talk about the severity of your actions and whether you've learned anything. But until then, serious room, go.
Ok. Donc là on refait un SV Sheets 1.
Whoa, did we not have the talk? Are we not in the serious room this very moment?
J'adore.
Did I not tell you how many tables I looked through?
Ah j'adore à quel point le jeu il pète, enfin il est trop bien foutu quoi.
Tens of thousands of tables. Any reasonable person would say I spent an absurd amount of time doing nothing but looking at tables, and I genuinely considered each one too. I took a hell of a lot of notes.
Il reste un dernier SRI.
In a different room. That room is less serious than this one. It's more of a notes room. Again, the point of this story is to convey how serious I feel this cheating issue is. And I'm sure you'll agree with me once you've fulfilled your new punishment. Infinity years in the serious room. I generally have trouble reading human emotions, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you're devastated by this crippling new punishment. As well you should be. It's the most serious I could think of. Can you get more serious than that? No, you can't. Don't try.
Ok. Du coup, SV Cheats 1.
Still no effect. The problem is clearly the serious room. It isn't serious enough. That's on me, Stanley. I apologize. I'm going to the store to look through more tables. Hopefully I find one that conveys how wrong what you're doing is. Now, where did I put those notes?
Et là c'est fini normalement. Si jamais je refais SV Cheats 1. Ouais, c'est ça, c'est fini. Ok. Retourner au menu. Ok. Je vais juste changer ça. Les paramètres que je viens de faire. Hop. On va passer en mode short. Mais du coup, YouTube, si vous avez cet épisode, likez, partagez, abonnez-vous. Dites-moi dans les commentaires ce que vous avez pensé de toutes les fins qu'on a fait. Là, on a fait quasiment toutes les fins du jeu. Il en reste quelques-unes, mais qui sont vraiment très dures à avoir ou qui demandent beaucoup de temps et de patience. Et sur un live, on ne peut pas forcément les faire. Mais il y en a d'autres que j'aimerais bien voir et aller checker. Je pense que je vais aller regarder des vidéos YouTube sur comment faire la fin speedrun du jeu parce qu'elle a l'air extrêmement drôle. Mais on fera ça du coup une prochaine fois. Sur ce, YouTube, donc si vous aimez cet épisode, comme je l'ai dit, on like, on partage, on s'abonne. On n'hésite pas, bien évidemment, si jamais on veut voir du contenu en live comme on en a fait là avec d'autres jeux, parce que là j'ai fait Stanley Parable, mais j'ai potentiellement d'autres jeux que j'aimerais bien faire aussi, et bah on n'hésite pas tout simplement à venir me suivre sur Twitch, vous avez le lien qui est dans la description. Et sur ce, on se retrouve du coup dans le prochain épisode. Attendez, je ferme. Ah, il veut pas fermer, ok. Je vais mettre à jour Epic Games, c'est pour ça là. Et donc sur ce, on se retrouve dans le prochain épisode qui sera pas du coup Stanley Parable, parce que ça y est, on a fini avec Stanley Parable. Ça nous a pris un live, c'était cool, vraiment. Il a tenu un live entier, hein. Et ça, je trouve ça très cool. Mais en tout cas, voilà, merci d'avoir suivi cet épisode. On se retrouve à la prochaine. Ciao, ciao YouTube.